Hello everyone, this is Ninja_Guy_12 here, bringing you a match in the Gundam Mark II. Before we continue, yes, I did somewhat fix the internet. I can't really properly play the game. I mean, I could try. It will take quite a few hours to get at least some matches done, but I can still somewhat play the game. And I can actually post videos, so that's nice, thankfully. Quick summary, we got a new router, and the new router that we did get wasn't exactly working properly, so yeah, that was fun. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. Second thing, this video was requested by zprime14, who basically just requested the Gundam Mark II. I decided just to bring out the bazooka again because I know I did use it once prior, and I wanted to get better with the bazooka because I don't want to just keep using the beam rifle all the time. It is just different to just, you know, take the bazooka. And then thirdly, the colors that I have is just the AEUG colors that are taken from the Super Gundam. So if you guys want to know these colors, or if you just don't have a Super Gundam and want to have these AEUG colors for your Mark II, you could ask me what they are in the comment section down below, or on my Discord server. Link to that's in the description. And if you want to make any GB02 request videos this month, you could also ask me on my Discord server. So, the Mark II is a pretty broken general. I've said this, I think, numerous times, but this thing is just completely broken and brain dead. I mean, ever since BB Studios decided it was a great idea to, at one point, give every single person in this game a Mark II for free, without, you know, really anything, was the dumbest decision I've ever seen them make, honestly. They basically just threw balance out of the window and basically made 500-point matches completely cancerous. So, that's pretty much how I feel about the Mark II. I definitely should get a nerf eventually. I mean, the Mark II, basically, the Mark II as a general doesn't really have any really downsides, other than just like not really enough HP, I guess, when compared to most other generals that are at the 500 cost range. Basically, doesn't really have a whole lot of health compared to others, and I think has some mediocre range mod and some defenses, but otherwise not really issues necessarily. So yeah, this thing is just kind of flawed, I guess. It's just like, it is completely brain dead, and unless like you basically have some really good supports like the Zissa or the Zoc at level 2, or hell, even a Mudrock, basically unless you're running some pretty good supports, a Mark II is just going to be complete cancer to fight, especially when you stack multiples of these assholes on one team. That's just basically asking you to get slaughtered, as the Mark II has level 3 melee priority for one, so most suits at this cost range, at least for most generals, aside from like the Gabaldi beta and stuff, don't have level 3 melee priority, so they can't really challenge this thing to a fucking fight, because they're just gonna get out prioritied. The second other problem with this thing is just the fact that basically all of its weapons, aside from the shrapnel version of the bazooka, just followed the basic pattern that most people are just accustomed to. Stun into downswing. And the downswing damage on this thing, it's completely, like, fucking bullshit, honestly. It does so much damage for a downswing. So honestly, if they were going to nerf the Mark II, basically just take away its very thing. Either give it level 2 melee priority, or you nerf its melee damage, because it is just way, way too good at just basically being able to just like keep up with raids. and just doing massive damage without really raids having a good counter to the Mark II. I mean, and then you also have the Vulcan pod, which is absolutely OP on the Mark II. It does so much damage to raids. It is quite astronomical, to say the least, how much damage the Vulcan pod does. I mean, obviously it's the same, kind of like similar to the Barzam, though on the Barzam it's not nearly as bad, quote unquote, because the Barzam is mostly geared for range combat anyway. However, they almost feel like the same amount of damage for the Vulcan pod on the Mark II, even though this thing has lower firing, or range strength, I should say. So honestly, maybe also nerfing the damage for the Vulcan pod would be quite nice. I mean, you're already going to be shooting this thing a lot. It's a lot faster than just normal Vulcans, so honestly, you have that. So, the Mark II definitely could use a nerf. Especially just how unbalanced it is, especially at lower, like, levels of play. I mean, obviously, with my ult here, I'm just, like, completely shredding people. It is just way, way too good. And basically, if you have just at least one Mark II at lower costs, or, like, lower levels of play like this, you're practically nearly guaranteed to win every fucking time. So, pretty much the Mark II just needs a nerf in order to make this thing even somewhat fair to play against. But otherwise, design-wise, I love the Mark II. It is a fantastic Gundam design. I mean, it's basically, at least kind of, I guess, like, lineage-wise, basically the Alex and the original Gundam just kind of put into one mobile suit in a way, and it looks glorious. There's not really any part of the design I don't like, per se. I mean, it does look quite good. So much so, I did also buy, I did eventually buy the Revive Gundam Mark II, and I absolutely love that kit. So, hopefully, eventually, I also try to get the Real Great Gundam Mark II, because I know that kit is also pretty fun and really good. So, there's that. And honestly, the Mark II is just a pretty fancy design. It's just unfortunate that in the anime, basically, especially during Devil Zeta, the Mark II wasn't really the best. I mean, basically, the only reason the Mark II even existed was just to test out the movable frame. There was no other point for the Mark II to even exist other than just that purpose of the movable frame technology. Even then, like, in the, like, first, like, I think 3 episodes, they tell us that, like, the Mark II is basically never going to be upgraded, as newer mobile suits are going to be made with different materials. So basically, unless you give this thing different weapons, or obviously give it the G Defensor, the Mark II basically has weak armor and pretty bare bones weapons. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Sorry for just kind of spatting out random bullshit. I hope you enjoyed your request video, zprime14, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.